you so much for joining in today on Fit Inspired Mama podcast with me. Today's episode is about drugs with loved ones. I have today Andrea for you, who's going to be talking to us about what had happened to her. She's a beautiful mama who has a beautiful story, starting from the things that happened to her when she was pregnant to the things that happened to her during pregnancy and after pregnancy, and where she is today, and how she found out that her loved one, her son, was into drugs. The most heart-filling, most significant thing that we don't realize today is how would we all feel if one of our loved ones, especially our kids, would get into drugs. A story, a must-listen story that Andrea will be talking about right now. So let's listen in. I am so excited today to have Andrea here with me. It's so nice for you to be here and for you to be able to talk to us about your story. My biggest reason of being here today on my podcast on Fit Inspired Mama is that I'm able to share stories from all around the world, and a woman like you to inspire others, to show that no matter what happens in today's life, whatever happens in our homes or our families, we are here to stick together and we are here to help each other. So thank you for being here, Andrea.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
You're so welcome. So I'm just going to briefly start here with a little something to say. It breaks my heart to hear that some of these homeless people were someone's babies, husband, son, daughters, or wife before they ended up there. Some of them are on drugs, as you know, or are alcoholics. Some of them have mental illness, and this is all with free will, as they want and as they like. And most families are being forced to let go of all of this. I have today again, Andrea, and she has a story to share. And I hope you all know that when things happen to us in any circumstances, it's about no comparison or no judgment. This can happen to anyone. But the sad news is when something like this happens to any families, no one is willing to share it. No one's willing to talk about it. And I'm so happy that Andrea has decided to come on the podcast to share her story freely and openly to all these families out there, so they're able to see that this is something that can happen to anyone. And the fact is maybe we can take that extra step to see how we can stop it from happening. So again, Andrea, thank you for being here. I want you to just be yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and then give us your background story.
Okay. All right. Yes. I think that one of the things I want to say is that I never thought in a million years that I would be the mom that would have a child that is a drug addict, right? I really had this idea in my head that it only happened to, other people, maybe hard situations, maybe the people grew up in hard families. I never pictured that for myself.
Absolutely.
And so there's this guilt and this shame that comes along with that. And it's, nobody shares about it. And so I'm really excited to kind of tell my story and just let everyone know that, it's probably happening to more people than, we even realize. And just to shed light on just, it's okay, how you're feeling as well too. I think that's like the biggest thing. It's okay. And I feel like it should be more normalized that, it shouldn't make you feel like you're a bad mother. And I think that's the biggest thing. So my name is Andrea. I am from Calgary. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, but moved to Calgary when I was 18, and I've been here for so many years. So now, as old as I am now. So I have 3 children right now. Julian is our oldest, and that's the son that I'll talk a lot about today. And then I have Aiden, who's my middle, and Julian and Aiden, they are biological brothers. And I have Isla, and she's our daughter, and she is with my current husband. So let's get started to the vision of like the picture of life and where it's brought me. So one of the things is that I got pregnant very young. And when I got pregnant, your vision of yourself kind of just goes out the window, right? Like any moms, right? You put your children first. That's what you do, right? You
Right.
put your children. I get pregnant with Julian. I was in Edmonton for a short period of time, and then we moved to Calgary and we started. Sorry. We had Julian. Everything was happy-go-lucky. Let's just say that. I felt kind of blessed, right? At that point, I was staying at home, taking care of a baby. My ex was working all the time, and then we got pregnant again. And that's kind of when things went a little strange and array. And my ex decided that he didn't want to be a part of us anymore. He didn't want to have a family, and he decided that he was going to pack up and he was going to leave and go back to Edmonton and start another career there. So at that moment, I knew that, okay, I'm a mother, I have pregnant, and I need to be there for my kids. Like, this is my responsibility now. I need to take care of them. And I just let my feelings for him just wash away and just be like, okay, what do I have to do?
Right.
So I literally packed my bag, and I packed it with a few things of clothes. And I packed a playpen for Julian, and there we were off. We went down the street. My mom and dad lived down the street, and I moved in with them for not very long. And I said, Kate, my ex is leaving me. I got to get a job. I got to take care of these kids. They're my biggest priority right now.
Okay.
And the very next day, I, left my son with my parents, and I went downtown, and I used to work in a high-end men's clothing store before I had children. And so I went right downtown to the highest, clothing store that I could. And I walked in and I said, you know what? I'm looking for work. I need a job. I can sell suits. Are you willing to give me a chance? And they did. They gave me the job. And with that, yeah, it was very. I said, I really need this job. Like, I really need a job. And they were very gracious, and they agreed to give me this job, which is kind of, I look back, it's kind of crazy how that works.
Yeah.
And I remember then saying, okay, well, since you've given me the job, can you give me in advance? Because I had no money. There was not, I literally had just a bag and a playpen. And there was a place down for my parents that was for rent. And I phoned the guy up, and I said, is your place for rent? And he said, yes. And I said, well, I'm standing outside. I want to rent it. And that's what I did with my advance. I got the apartment. I got the fourplex. It was a fourplex, had 2 bedrooms, tiny little kitchen. And me and Julian and 6-month baby Aiden, we went in there, and it was ours. And I was like, okay, this is happening. We've got a place now. I'm pregnant, and Julian has a place to sleep in a playpen. And then I'll tell you one of my favorite stories, and Nishma, I'm sure this is one of my favorite stories that I told you as well too. And that was September-ish. Everything blends together when you go through life, if you don't have like a chronological timeline, but that was September-ish that happened. And we were going through life, and I was making minimum wage and just doing what I could as a mother, right? Okay. So I really had nothing, and we went to the used stores. We got some pots and pans. We got just the basic things, right? The kids stuff came first, the diapers came first, everything like that came first. Mm-hmm. And that Christmas came, and it still makes me cry. The story still makes me cry.
Yeah.
That Christmas, I did not have a Christmas tree. Didn't have one. And I felt really bad. Julian's 3 years old, and it's Christmas is a spectacular time, and we didn't have a Christmas tree. And so I go to the Sobeys. It's like December 23rd, and I'm getting some special treats because I saved up for that. So we're going to get some special treats for Christmas. And back in the day, the grocery store would actually have a tree lot sitting outside. And there was this tree lot, and there was maybe like 5 trees in it. And so there's this young kid, and he's at the till, doing our cash out. And I ask him, and I say, how much are these trees? And he says, oh, they're $40. And I didn't have 40 or a tree, or it was $40. I think I got some like bread, and we had like turkey sandwiches or something. Like it was a choice.
Right.
And he goes, but my manager's on lunch. He's like,
yeah.
go take one now.
Yeah.
And I literally ran out of the Sobeys as fast as I could. And Julian's, running with me, and he's in this I had this little Tykes wagon. We ran into the lot. I grabbed the first tree, I throw it right onto the wagon.
Yeah.
And then we go around the corner and we wait at the bus stop. And I'm looking the whole time thinking, oh my God, someone's gonna, did they know that I stole this tree? Anyways, we get home. I have an ice cream bucket. I put the tree in the bucket. I literally nailed the tree to the wall. And me and Julian sat there. Of course, we didn't have decorations, but me and Julian sat there, and we made decorations with tin foil. And I tell you that because when he did come back on drugs, that's what he says. He says that was his favorite memory of me and him, was that Christmas that we made Christmas ornaments. And in my head, I was the worst mother, because I could only give him a stolen Christmas tree and tinfoil ornaments. But in his head, it was the best Christmas ever. And so it's totally different perspective. Like he remembers that to the T, that was his best Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So long story short, the kids get older. Yeah.
That's amazing. I just, those little memories that these kids have growing up, it's not about what you buy them, or it's not about what we have for them. It's more about how we spend time with them. And as much we forget those little things, right? How we spend time with them is what they will remember when they get older. And that is beautiful, because that is something that you still remember, and he still remembers, though we're still going to finish off your story. I do want to know more, but it's a very beautiful way of remembering that one thing that he had told you that he loved the most.
Yeah. And to me, that was a failure, right? To me, that was not success, right? That was being a poor mother. That was not giving the kids everything. But in reality, that's not true. That's not true at all. No. That time that I had spent with him, that was what mattered to him at that time.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a couple. We'll go like a year ahead. I actually meet my current husband. Sweetest guy ever. He comes into our lives, and he knows that I have 2 kids. A year later, I meet my husband, and he comes into our lives. I meet him through mutual friends, and he wants to go out on a date with me. And I keep saying no, because I'm doing the mom thing, and I have 2 kids. And at that point, I really feel like, who else is going to want me now that I have 2 kids with another man? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of in that position of like, I'm not in that place to give anyone anything else. Right. Mm-hmm. So my husband is very, very sweet now, and he keeps asking me out. And finally I agree to going out with him. And we go for dinner, and I wanted to be casual. And all right, so at this point I'm starving, and I want to go and eat. That's all I'm actually going on the date for, is that if you take me out and you feed me, I'm going to be super happy. I probably will never see you again. And I'm going to order everything on the menu. So I ordered like the messiest foods. I ordered the chicken wings. I think I ordered the nachos. I ordered the steak. I ordered the cheesecake for dessert.
Yeah.
I ordered everything that I possibly could. And in my head, I'm thinking, this guy is going to think that this girl's disgusting because she's eating all this stuff, right? Years later, I've come to find out that's actually what sold him on me, is that I wasn't afraid to actually order when we were out on a date. I was just good to be myself.
Yeah.
I had no makeup on. I'm wearing this ugly hoodie. And, you know, I really put no effort into my like self-care at all. And we sat and we talked and we talked and we talked and we talked. And you know what? It was the first time in a long time that I felt that I was having like an adult like connection with someone. So at the end, I apologized and said, I'm sorry, can we redo that? And I'll dress nice and we'll actually go out on a date. I won't try to just go out just to eat. And so things happened really quickly with me and my husband after that. He was really sweet. We kind of hit it off, and then the conversation happened. And I said to him, I said, you know, if you're coming into my life, I have 2 boys, they're always going to come first. Are you okay with that? And he said, yes. So he moved into our 4-plex with us. Sweetest guy ever. He did not like me working a retail job. He said, that's not a good career for you. Please do something with your life. You're smarter than just working in retail. And he goes, I'm gonna pay for all the bills and you go back to school.
Wow.
And so that's what I did. I literally Googled careers under 2 years.
Yeah.
And I found this job called dental assisting, which I had no idea what dental assisting was, to be honest with you. And yes, and then I ended up becoming a dental assistant, and that's actually how I ended up meeting your sister.
That's right. That's how we got to know each other.
Yes. And then life happened, kids grew older, and it wasn't until Julian turned about 15 years old where he now was starting to become curious about his dad, his biological dad. And I've always told Julian that, and both Aiden, that it's important that they spend time with their, get to know their dad, because I feel like they never had that relationship. So I was always trying to encourage that. And Julian had decided when he was 15 that summer vacation, he was going to go and live with his dad. Okay. And for the summer, it was supposed to be 2 weeks. That he was going to go there for 2 weeks, but then it turned to the summer. And that's when things started to change. So he went for 2 weeks, and then I get a message from his dad saying that Julian wanted to move there, and he was going into grade 10. So he was registered for high school here. He was on the football team here. He was academically, Julian didn't do great in school, but he was really good at sports. And so we were really excited for him to start high school, getting into football. And at that point, I wanted to respect Julian. I wanted to give him that freedom of making that choice and knowing that he's 15. So we agreed and we said, okay, if you want to live with your dad, that's fine. We respect that. If you could just come home and pick up your stuff. And at that point, he didn't want to. And so we didn't push Julian. We just told him that when you're ready, you can come home and we can chat. And at that time, I felt that was the right decision, was trying to be supportive, trying to be the mother that was, not going to get angry and try to, judge and criticize. I was really just trying to have that open relationship. And
it makes sense, right? He's at that age, and I don't think that you did anything wrong. You were just trying to allow him to be, you were giving him that trust that, yes, Jill, I trust you, whatever decision that you make, this is from your mom to you, like, I trust you, whatever decision you make will be the right one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it was some time, we really didn't chat. We didn't really talk. I didn't really talk to his dad. And my parents went to Edmonton. My dad was doing some work, and long story short is that they actually found Julian living on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew my parents were going to Edmonton. I knew deep down that there was something off,
Yeah.
but there's only so much you can do, right? There's only so much you can do. And my parents found Julian, and he was living under a bridge in a tent, just off of White Avenue in Edmonton.
Mm.
And I remember my dad phoning me, and my dad saying to me, my parents call me Andrea. I go by Drea to most friends and people I know. And, he says, this was the hardest part for my dad and me was, he doesn't have any shoes.
Shoes. Yeah. No shoes.
So him living in a tent under a bridge wasn't as bad as him not having any shoes. Like that was like when it hit home that, oh crap, like this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So Julian ended up coming back home with my parents. And that's when, we learned that, he was doing crystal meth. And of course, from me being a dental assistant, I know the stats with crystal meth, that it's not good. It's a very, very hard drug. It is poor recovery rate. And what it does to the physical body and the mind is unreal. And one of the things about, Julian doing drugs, is that I didn't think that my kid was going to do drugs.
Right.
And I didn't know. I could not tell you what crystal meth was until Julian started doing crystal meth. I had no idea. I had no idea the nicknames, the short names, the way that, the kids describe it. I learned a lot about the real hard world in a very short period of time. And even my husband, even our kids, and I'll talk about that in a second, but you go from being this little baby about like life, and then all of a sudden you see this whole other side of life, and it's like your mind is blown, because it's like most people are, their path envisions this way, and then you get thrown this. Well, now your path is now like this, because now you see it everywhere, right? I'll see a homeless kid on the street, and I'll know right away, oh, they're doing that drug. The minute I knew that Julian was doing drugs, there was this immediate fight for, oh, we got this. We're gonna be able to get you into rehab, and you're gonna get help, and you're gonna be all better, and I'm gonna be the best mom in the world because I'm gonna get you all the help, and your brother and your sister are gonna be there and love you, and Jed is gonna be there supportive of you, and there's this bubble of there's help. And that's where this conversation gets kind of surprising, because, all I can say is that what I've seen from before, I've never been in this situation. So I thought right away, oh, it's rehab. Oh, let's get you help. Let's get you therapy. Let's get you all these things that we're supposed to get you, that are supposed to be available to you to help you.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if you're over the age of 16 in Alberta and you don't want the help,
they don't give you the help.
So a perfect example is that Julian had gotten a job at Eastside Mario's. And when he got that job, his first paycheck, he went missing for 3 weeks. He went on a drug binge. And when he came back, we had one opportunity to get him help. There's one really great place here in Calgary called ARC. And if you're under the age of 18, they will confine you. It's quite pricey and expensive, and there's no guarantee that a treatment will work, but it was our only option at that point because we had explored everything. And this was our last chance. This was it. And we knew that this was the last chance to still help him while he was under the age of 18. Because I don't see a 16-year-old kid high on drugs being able to make those decisions, but the government and the laws state that they can make those decisions, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Very ridiculous. I guarantee, I agree with you. Yeah. If the law is you can't after 18, the law for anything should be the same law at 18. Yes, I agree.
So, I mean, there were times when we took Julian into, rehab, and, he couldn't even walk. He didn't even know his name. He was so high on drugs, and he would say, no, I'm fine. I don't need, I don't need any help. I can stop whenever I want. And as soon as he said that, then there was nothing anyone could do because he was denying treatment and he had the right. But I'm like, ask him what his name is. He doesn't even know what his name is. He doesn't even know where he lives. But because he said, no, you're not going to help them. And that just blew my mind away. Like that's when I knew that this so-called bubble of hope was bursting, and it was now the end of the storm. Let's just put it that way. It was the end of the storm. And our opportunity to get him that help, we lost when he went missing for those 3 weeks, because it was only a couple months before he was going to be 18. And there's a lot of time span in there. There's the time that I found the needle in the basement, and there's a time when we had to sit our kids down at the table, and we had to tell our kids what's wrong with our brother, why he's acting the way he's acting. We had to tell them, this is crystal meth. This is what it does to your brain. This is why your brother isn't acting normal. This is why your brother has scars and bleeding and sores on his face, right? Because the physical dimension of him changes. And so the last time, when it was our last opportunity to really try to help him, that's when we knew that we had to say our goodbyes. And it's, I look back at it, and it's quite a romantic thing to think is that I'm very grateful that I had the chance to say goodbye to my son. But at the same time, I wish I never would have had to do that, but
It is a very difficult thing that you did. The fact that you were able to just let go, knowing that he's your son, knowing that you could, in my family, I'll be honest, if any of us got into kind of like a drug or something, I think they would lock us up somewhere. They would lock us up and not let us go until they know. They'll probably give us food from underneath the doors or something, guaranteed. In the culture that I'm in the family that I grew up in, this is something that they would probably do. But you were very strong for saying, I've tried, I've tried, and I've taken him to all these places, and I've wanted him to get help. Unfortunately, the law was not on your side. Unfortunately, the fact that he can just say, I'm fine, was okay with them, was not on your side. And so it's not like you didn't try. It's not like you put him in there. All the choices that are made by the individual. And this is what I'm I'm so proud of you for just being able to come out of it and being able to talk about it, because, I've not heard, and I'm going to be honest, I've not heard any other parents talk about it at all. And if I haven't, it's because maybe I'm not looking around, but probably there are, but not as many. So I want I want others to know that this is possible with anybody. It can happen to anyone. How do we stop it?
And I think that that's like one of the things that, I'm looking back on, and I'm remembering, how I was how I am as a mother, how I'm parenting, you know, my frustrations, my happy times, like what, what could, what could I do now? And it's not even about what I could have done, because I could have done everything right in the entire world. I could have been the perfect mom, and whatever a perfect mom looks like, because who really knows what a perfect mom looks like?
You're
But
right.
but this still have happened to me, and the question is it? Yeah, it can, because these drugs are in every household, in every family, in every life. Whether it's crystal meth, whether it's um, crack cocaine, whether it's alcohol. There are so many drugs that are easily accessible to our kids. And I guess the one thing is that don't be afraid to talk to your kids about all of those things. Because you know what? If you don't talk to them about it, they're learning it from their friends.
That's right.
And if their friends have influences from their parents, because we don't know what kind of life they're living at home, right? Nobody really knows what it's like behind closed doors. Um, you don't know what they're learning or what they're being exposed to.
That's true.
And so, we now have an open door policy in our household of anything, whatever it may be. Maybe it's something you saw on social media. Maybe you heard their friends talking about it. I think that one of the things that, impacted, my kids is my Aiden, who's 18 now. He won't even associate with anyone who even smokes, because he looks at that as being a bad thing. So he has went from one extreme to the other extreme, where, if just because someone smokes doesn't make them a bad person, right? But now he associates that with, I'm not going to be around you because you're a bad influence around me. And he's kind of isolated himself to like only hanging out with certain people and not getting out there, which isn't good either. But our daughter, she was a lot younger, so she knows about what crystal meth is, and understands that her brother was sick from it. But there was this. Have you ever had those, like at schools, they'll sometimes bring in those special teams of like police officers, and they'll talk about drugs at school. They have
Right.
those programs.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding you. Isla's in grade 4, I think, grade 3, 4. And these people come in and they're talking about how drugs are bad for you. And, Isla raises her hand and, anyone have questions? And, she's casually, well, my brother does crystal meth and, it really messes up your life. He's homeless now. And, I,
Wow.
I ended up getting a phone call from the principal, but it was a casual conversation for her. It wasn't like something to be ashamed of. It was, she had no guilt, no shame, no embarrassment. It was just, hey, this happened to my brother. Like these people are telling the truth. Like people listen to these guys. Like this is what happens. And if anything, I feel like like both my husband and I, we've made a difference, because that's the mentality that I want her to grow up with, is that, hey, this is normal. This can happen. And if it does happen, you just have to share about it so that it doesn't happen to other people.
Yeah, it is a very difficult topic to talk about with your kids. It is for me. I have a really difficult, like, when do I do it? My child is in almost going to grade 2. The other one is just getting into kindergarten. When do we talk about this? How do we talk about it? Like, I think every parent has their own ways of how they want to share that with their kids. And I think that is really important to start at a young age, is just kind of tell them about a few things that are around in this world and what happens. Like, I was actually grown up in a bubble. I'll have to be honest with you. I never knew so many of these things. I didn't know about crystal meth. I did learn about cocaine and heroin, and I did know what it is. But I never tried it, never did it, never seen anyone in my life, in any with my friends that have ever done it. So I've always been in that little bubble. And then when I met my husband, we, when we got to meet each other, like, he's not in that bubble. He knows what was happening around everywhere. He knew what was going on in the world. And he showed me movies and scenarios, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is that? Like, I've never seen that before. I didn't even know that existed. And then here, crystal meth, I found out through one of the shows that we watched and how they make it. And it's made through labs, and how they make it, and the percentage of these crystals, like what it does, and how they smoke it, or how they inject it into you. And it was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, what's going on? The vapors that are coming out too, the ones that are coming out, they can put tobacco in there, or they can put drugs in there now, and then they can smoke it. You don't even know what's in there. There's so many things. I think one of the parents had come up to me and told me that it's like a little pencil. It looks like a little pencil, but it's a vape.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know that it's a vape. A parent will look at it and say, oh, it's just a pencil. And then all of a sudden you put it down and you don't realize it's not, it's a vape. So these kids can be bringing in anything. They could look like, uh, what do you call it? One of those, like a computer chip or something, like a USB, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, how do you know it's not a USB and it's a vape, right? So
Yeah.
this is something that I am very scared to talk to about my kids. And I think a lot of parents out there would be too as well. And some will have their ways of saying it. So I'm very honored that you did come here and that you are able to share the story. So did your son come back? Were you able to see him again?
I So the last time that we seen him was the time that we kind of said our goodbyes to him, which has been almost 3 years. And, we all sat around the table, and, we told Julian that we love him and that we want him to get help. And our door is always open and available for him when he is ready to get the help. If he wants to come home and he wants help, like legitimate help, not the lies and the twists and the stories that we've been told many times before, please come home. The door is here. But if you're choosing this lifestyle, it's not healthy for you, and we cannot support you in this lifestyle. And, he went around the table and he gave all of us hugs.
Yeah.
And, he hugged me and he says, Mom, this is my life. It's my choice. And I said, I know, Julian, I love you. And then we drove him to the train station, or the bus station, the Greyhound, and we dropped him off. And we pulled over on the side of the road, my husband and I, and we felt like the worst freaking parents in the entire world, that we just sent our kid on a bus to go live in a homeless shelter in Edmonton. And that is the last time that I've seen my son, and I have not heard from him since. But my door will be open. If he came a banging on the door, I would welcome him in with open arms, and I would be ready to say, let's get to work. What do we need to do to help you?
Oh, thank you. A mother will always be there for their child.
Always.
Always. There is never a chance where she'll ever just let him go. They'll always be there for their child. They'll make sure that their child is taken care of. So thank you for saying that. That was beautiful. Drea, I know that the story is so overwhelming. So I'm going to finish this off today and just be like, thank you for being here and sharing your story. Is there something that you want to tell any parents out there, anything at all, that if anyone is listening to this, is there anything that you would want to say?
Just be open, listen to your children, and always fight for them. Always fight for them, no matter what. Never give up on your children, no matter what they're going through. That, I guess, that would be my only thing. Can you prevent it? Can you stop it? No, but you can always fight for them, and you can always be supportive of them.
And if anyone wants to get a hold of you and say, I want to talk to her, I want to ask her questions, I'm going through a very similar phase in my life, how would they get a hold of you?
You know what? You can follow me on Instagram. I do have my @Dream Essential Oils, or I am on Facebook as well under Andrea Mellinson. You can always friend me. I am an open book. I'm not afraid to share it because I had no one who would share it with me. And if I know there's more people out there that are going through this, and if we can all just share our stories, I feel like there's things that could be learned and taught and cried and loved upon, and just come together as just people, healing and supporting.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. That's why I have you here. It's we all support each other and we're all here to help each other out with whatever we need. And this is why I'm so happy that you're here. If anyone is listening and needs to get to hold of you, I will have your description below on all my platforms. So that's a good thing. So they'll be able to contact you if needed. Drea, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for allowing yourself to come out here and tell us your story. The biggest impact here for us is to listen to our kids and to hear them out and be able to just be there with them and understand what's really going on and to really educate them on everything that's happening. And at the end of the day, you're right, it is their choice and it's their world, it's their life. The best we can do is to educate them. And at the end of the day, at one age, they're going to have to figure it out themselves. We cannot be following them step by step to tell them what to do. So I'm praying for every family to be happy out there, in every prayers sending to them, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be extremely safe and happy with whatever happens. Thank you again for being here. Thanks for everyone that's listening. I do hope that you guys did take something out of this. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about or ask Andrea, please do send her a message. And we hope to see you guys next week. Have a fabulous, fabulous day.